Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome in this beautiful Palais Brongniart in Paris. This is really a landmark monument. It has a European heritage, and this is a place of meeting, a place of exchange, where actually the past meets the future, and where tomorrow's ideas are actually already part of today. So I think no better place to organize this 5th Health Tech Innovation Days, where we gather all of you, stakeholders that believe that we need to support healthcare for all, and that we need to promote the access to healthcare for all. My name is Suyin Aerts. I will be your host and moderator throughout these 2 days, but to welcome all of you, esteemed guests, I'd like to hand over to the 2 people already on stage. Please give them an applause. Marie-Van Hians, she's the president of Health Tech for Care, and Pierre Courtet, CBO of Avivax. Please welcome them with an applause.
Oh, good morning. So it's really a great honor for me to welcome you to Paris for this European event, the 5th edition of Health Tech Innovation Days, HTID, organized by Health Tech for Care, a non-profit organization. As you know, innovative healthcare access and treatment is a global priority for every patient. And this is the goal and the fight of Health Tech for Care. It's certain that Europe will play a major role in this fight. It's why Health Tech for Care has built strong collaboration with European Life Science Cluster. In France, of course, but in Belgium, in Germany, in Switzerland, in Italy, in Spain, in Israel, and with EIT Health and Cyber European Association. In Europe, we have hundreds of health tech companies already very advanced in their development, but who have problems to complete their products and to make them available to patients. It's why HTID gives them the opportunity to meet and to form financial and industrial partnerships. So during these 2 days, you will have the opportunity to meet 700 people in person. We will meet about 300 international investors and big pharma, and we have about 2,000 European health tech companies. And the best one is we are waiting about 3,000 meeting one-to-one. Is a real success for us, and we are very happy. It's wonderful. Now, I would like to say that this edition is under the high patronage of President Emmanuel Macron, who trusts Health Tech for Care since the beginning. We also have a very good support of European institutional personalities with the participation of European Commission, the European Investment Bank, FEI, and European Innovative Council. We also have a very strong support of French government. We had a meeting yesterday night with Minister Lescure and Minister Bech, and we are happy to have Minister Olivier Bech today at the opening, and he will have an intervention in a few minutes. Of course, thanks very great for our Mecen sponsor. You have the list here, but without them, Health Tech for Care would never have seen the light of day. I would like also thanks for board member and especially for faithful board member. I would like to name Cédric Moreau from Sofinova Partner, Eric Falcon from Servier. They were there at the beginning, and also Christian Pierret, former Minister of Industry, and Marc Deschamps, Anaïs Le Corvec, Elsie Boglioni, maybe I have all the name. And we have 3 board members from France Biotech, founder of Health Tech for Care, with Christian Deleuze, Sanofi, Marc Julien from EIT Health, et Frédéric Girard. And of course, Pierre Courteil, and it's for you just now. Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Monsieur le Ministre, welcome this morning to this great edition of HTID. So I would like to introduce you the 4 themes of our roundtables we will have during those 2 days. So this year, discussions will be focused on the challenges related to the competitiveness of the European healthcare industry, equal access to innovation for all, and the impact of legislative developments in Europe and in the US. So the program of roundtable discussions for this 5th edition is structured around 4 major themes. So the first theme is towards a dynamic and stable European health. European nations share common goal in terms of improving the quality of life and increasing life expectancy. The convergence must lead the European Union to develop a strategy to advance the right to access healthcare for all and address the challenges of financing and innovation to build a healthcare Europe that serves all EU citizens and patients, including legislation adapted to European issues. 2 roundtables and 2 keynotes will address this issue. The second theme is the new frontier of healthcare. Innovation in oncology and in the digital realm, the metaverse, is accelerating progress in all scientific areas. 4 roundtables will provide an overview of the new frontiers of innovation. The third theme is the challenge of healthcare innovation financing. Health tech companies need a strong financial support at every stage of their development. They rely on public funding, mechanism, and a network of specialized life science investors that must consistently adapt to an unstable environment. 6 roundtables will address financing challenges. The last theme, the 4th one, is placing the patient at the heart of innovation. So this year, the 5th edition of Healthcare for Patient conference organized by Health Tech for Care brought together 15 international experts to discuss non-communicable disease, NCDs, including cardiovascular diseases, to position the patient at the center of medical innovation. So I hope you will enjoy those roundtables during those 2 days. And my last word would be to, as said Marivonne just before, this 5th edition would not be possible without our mécènes, sponsors in English, mécènes in French. And I would like to name them because they are very, very important for us. So we have Seption Strategies, BPI France, Sanofi, Amgen, EIT Health, Agile Capital Markets, Peak Life Science, HR, Servier, Life Sciences Acceleration Alliance, Ipsen, BNP Paribas, McDermott Will and Emery, Euronext, Alira Health, Rothschild & Co., Bristol Myers Squibb, Invest Securities, Sofinova, and Icosa. I would like us to applaud them because so thank you to all of you.
And I'd like to invite now Christian Pierret, the French former Ministry of Industry, to introduce, as you all heard, our guest, Olivier Becht. Please join us.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to introduce my friend Olivier Becht, Minister for Foreign Trade, for economic attractiveness, a huge program, and for French nationals abroad. So I said my friend because we are elected in eastern part of France, in Alsace for him, in Lorraine for me, and we share many views over the development of our industry, and all over the world. It is the question we have today. Thank you for coming, Minister. I have to raise to you 3 questions about your minister's charge. And the first one should be, what message do you have for international stakeholders looking to engage with France and Europe in the healthcare activities and sector?
Well, thank you so much, dear Christian. Thank you for your invitation and a great hello to everybody. First of all, France is known for its capacity to innovate in the health sector. In 2021, more than 2,060 health tech companies will be operating in France, generating profits for 1.3 billion euros, an increase of 62% on 2020. Yeah. 2/3 of these companies are targeting international markets from the very start of their activities. Secondly, the France export team brings together local actors whose goals are to support the foreign actors in their projects in France. Their job is to help them identify the best companies for their portfolio, as well as to speed up the procedures required to set up in France, from visa issues to housing needs. And finally, the French government wanted to define a specific point of entrance to help foreigners and French people, of course, navigate in the French ecosystem. The Health Innovation Agency has been designed as a sort of one-stop shop for innovators, and its directors, Dr. Lise Alster, and our team are at your disposal to help you. At the European level, also, the Health Innovation Agency is in close discussion with European institutions and communities. In my ministry's economic diplomacy department can also guide you as we have a team of experts in attractiveness.
How do you see, because Marion said we are centered on the patient, how do you see the relationship with the patient during the process of R&D research?
Well, I must say to you, and the healthcare and health tech for care team are the expert on this field. But I know from my frequent meetings with business leaders in the healthcare sector that it's a rising topic for the French ecosystem. Indeed, innovating in health is a long-term commitment with significant financial and human needs. As we learned during the pandemic, it is priority to allocate our resources to developing the best innovations considering our population needs. This is not just a matter for French and European peoples, but also for every patient. In other words, it is interpretative. It is imperative to choose which projects to support. From my point of view, the patient-centered approach is smart when it comes to the imperative for discriminating innovation solutions. Again, I am not an expert, of course, but I know the French Ministries of Health and Research, the Agency for Health Innovation, and also the Ministry for Foreign Affairs with a very recent launch of the French Global Health Strategy are working to define criteria to help with this selection process, and priority will be given to projects that meet this criteria. France
accounts among the main nations in Europe about healthcare industry and R&D in this sector with biotech, medtech, digital tech. And the question could be raised in a relationship with the new kind of research, multidisciplinary research, in which the healthcare sector enters now. Are there specific initiatives or partnerships you believe are essential to achieving this main goal for the future for our industries?
Well, I think that French talents are particularly good in mathematics. We also have good doctors with strong expertise in oncology. It was said just a minute ago. Women disease like endometriosis, for example. In other words, we know our strengths. I think also that with this in mind, I like to mention Dr. Torchman's mission as a special envoy for innovation. She presented her conclusion yesterday in Bercy, in which she identified numerous opportunities for international collaborations, especially with European countries such as Denmark for digital health, and Italy for pandemic preparedness, for example. And on my next trips to Europe, I will be paying a particular attention to supporting the development of partnerships in this kind. To achieve this goal, I'm counting on everyone here to share the best opportunities with us. And I want to congratulate French healthcare, health tech for care, for the efforts you are putting in helping building a strong European community.
Thank you, Minister. So it was forecast to raise 3 questions, but the main part of our of your presence here is to answer certainly to the questions of the audience. Who wants to raise a question to the Minister and benefit from his presence? He has time enough to. Thank you. One. Would you like to raise a question about the new proactive action of the government in this to this aim to we could have proud of this reconquest of our place in Europe, and reconquest for Europe a good place inside the competition worldwide with China, with US and Korea and other Japan and other countries. So you certainly have some questions to open further the discussion with the Minister. Yes.
Hello. I would like to know whether the French government is planning further binational funding partnerships. So as you scale up as a life sciences company in Europe, whether you're French or of another nationality, you have access in terms of public funding to EIB, for example, funding venture debt. Are you planning more binational funding opportunities between French and Germany, for instance, of the way that the Nordic countries are already doing among themselves? Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question. I think we have a strong innovation plan with France 2030 plan, and we have a huge subsidies, of course, for health tech, biotechnology especially, but also genomics or other programs like that. I don't think in this time we are thinking for other plan, but I think we should first achieve, and we have 5 years to do that, the plan France 2030. Of course, if we need more subsidies, because we have some programs who need more, I'm quite sure that the government will be ready to put more money, because we know that it's of course one of the top priorities in the government. So you can be sure that we will be ready to invest more if it's needed. But first of all, it's the France Plan 2030.
I see there was another question on my left. Yes, do you have a microphone?
Thank you. Yeah. I'm Hans Daniels from Byteflies. In this transformation or innovation in healthcare, which is much needed, market access and go-to-market is super important and essential for companies like us. And therefore, I think it's really important, and I applaud what you do with Pécan, is to create a framework where actually companies with new technologies, with new ways of working can get faster access to the market, iterate faster. And I think this is super important. And the question is, you're doing this in France. Is there also a plan to basically show to the rest of Europe that this is the way to go forward, that companies like us can get to a market in a matter of months instead of years?
Well, I think we are working on it at the European level. Of course, we had some reflection when we prepared the European Relance Plan, and we are, of course, working on it with the European Health Agency. I think that access to the market is, of course, strategical for companies, but now, on terms of task, it's, of course, a matter of national level. So we have to cooperate with other European countries in order to program that. and I'm quite sure we will have by this end of this decade a European strategy on that. We still have some inputs, but it's, I think, a long fight in order to have a whole European strategy for access to the market.
You said it's a responsibility of the national level, but could you imagine that within the today's proposed and prepared pharma package for next 5 or 7 years, it would be possible to organize a more common way, a more common path towards a common view in Europe about access to the market, because we have on other issues the hope that we could coordinate within the word is not no more forbidden, industrial policy, health policy, common health policy, which is as strategic as the defense policy, for instance, or energy with the European accepted policy. The question which is raised is, if we want to compete efficiency with the States, for instance, and tomorrow with China, we need to fight not only on national level, not only France plus Germany plus Belgium and so on, but with a common overview for the future, because we are. It's a weakness to be alone in this battle.
Yeah, I think we have no other solution now, because I think the first step were during the COVID crisis, when we realized that if we don't have a European strategy on vaccine, every European countries will compete to have the vaccines first. The real problem now is with different system of social security and access to the market for medics, pharma, and so on, is of course the question of the cost and the price on the social security. So we have to define a strategy to have a common approach on the European level to be able to compete and maybe to fight, to have the best technologies tomorrow. We spoke about biotechs, but also by genomics or also other medics and technology we will have tomorrow. And we have, of course, to compete and to fight with United States and, of course, China tomorrow. So we have to have this common approach from the European Union. But in order to do that, in order to assure to the companies the best prices, to have access to the market, and to be sure that their innovation will generate enough profit on the European soil, we have, of course, to define a common approach on social security. And this is, I think, the most difficult question, because we have this different social security system in Europe, and of course it's now a question of national sovereignty. And if tomorrow we say to France, you have to reform your social security system in order to pay more for some medics, you will have reaction and say, hey, guy, it's because Brussels say to that, but who will pay for that? Because the social security system depends, of course, of payment from different actors in the different European countries. In France, is by salary and by enterprises. In other countries, it's by taxes. So this is, I think, the most important issue we have to face if we want to have a global approach at the European level.
You're right to emphasize on this problem of pricing, which probably will be one of the topic during those 2 days, because we are quite, afraid by the foreseen pharma package about this question. And I think that Rainer from the LSAA Association, European Association, has probably one question about that. One sensitive question. I warn you that it's not easy for the minister. I know the situation to answer a question which is in discussion in Brussels about so touchy issues. Rainer? Wait, please, a microphone, because they don't hear in this.
The question is, what's the position of the French government towards the EU pharma package that Christian just mentioned? The German government was quite critical and requested that it would be put forward to the Competitive Ministers' Council to look at it from a competitive viewpoint, which hasn't happened before. But in the proposed legislation, there's quite a bit of, let's say, flexibility, uncertainty when it comes to exactly the points that you talked about, because it is the dichotomy between something that tries to be European, but in the end very much is in the responsibility of the member states. So what is the position of the French government officially?
Well, I can speak on the name of the French government on these topics, because it's not only my responsibility, but also the responsibility of the Minister of Health, of course, and the Minister of Industry. But I think, once again, that we should have a European approach to be stronger. We need more flexibility, and of course we need more incentives to be sure that we will have in Europe the best talents and the best capacity to produce the best medics we need for tomorrow, but in accordance with the national levels and of course the national strategy. This is of course the difficulty we have to mix the European necessity and the national competencies.
Thank you.
Another question? Yes, here.
Yes, good morning. Fabrice Problanc from Orexa, medtech startup. So there is one European initiative that has been taken, which is the MDR, the Medical Device Regulation, which I think we all agree we shot ourselves in the foot in Europe on this. And one clear evidence is that it has been pushed back by 4 years at the last minute. So my question is, and that was thanks to the effort in particular of the French government, so thank you for avoiding a complete disaster. But we're still in dire situation, both from big players and startups and PME, ETI. So what is going to happen on this front to fix this issue, and when are we going to have an FDA-like body in Europe to regulate medical devices with real experts? And I think it can happen only at the European level. You cannot expect the ANSM or the AFMPS in Belgium and all these organizations to have all the competencies for that. You need really an FDA-like body where experts are well paid and competent. So what's your take on that, please?
Well, once again, I'm sorry, because I'm not Minister of Health, and so I don't have to answer for the Minister of Health. But of course, you're right. We should have this European approach. We should find. I think we should start from the beginning. It's to have in Europe the best talents to produce the best medics and to have the best access to the market, in order to be sure that we have the rentability the profitable for the companies. So once again, I agree with you, we should act to the European level. As Minister of Foreign Trade and Economic Attractiveness, I know perfectly that it's on the European level that we will act with the best efficiency. But once again, I cannot answer today at the name of the French government because it's a mix with Ministry of Health and Ministry of Industry. So I'm sorry for that, but I'm not able to give you the position of the French government on that.
Another question, please. Madame here.
Bonjour, Madame Serfati,
Bonjour.
Chambre de commerce France-Israël. Je suis en train de monter justement une association pour notre Chambre de commerce pour la collaboration, promouvoir la collaboration entre Israël, la France et l'Europe. Mais quand je parlais de cela, par exemple, à la FEC, la réponse était la concurrence est primordiale dans l'innovation. Donc, quel est votre avis entre les deux approches? Concurrence, collaboration, chaque pays travaille pour lui seul ou est-ce que c'est vraiment un domaine collaboratif et international? Pour moi, c'est un challenge international.
Eh bien, je pense que les deux ne sont pas incompatibles. Si vous voulez, vous avez bien sûr besoin de compétitivité et donc de concurrence entre les entreprises pour aller vers les meilleurs produits et les meilleures techniques. Après, on est bien conscient qu'il ne peut pas y avoir une industrie par pays. On est 198 pays dans le monde, chacun ne va pas développer son industrie pharmaceutique pour avoir... voilà, c'est pour ça qu'on a à la fois des big pharma, c'est pour ça qu'on a à la fois des start-up et Israël est évidemment un pays avec toutes les pensées qu'on peut avoir évidemment pour vous dans les moments tragiques que le pays connaît, mais est un pays qui a toujours su faire germer d'excellents médecins, mais aussi d'excellents chercheurs. Le Technion, notamment, regorge de start-up qui irriguent ensuite partout dans la planète. Donc je pense, si vous voulez, c'est vraiment une combinaison entre les deux systèmes. Il faut avoir un marché suffisamment ouvert et concurrentiel pour que les technologies puissent germer. Et puis ensuite, il faut avoir une organisation, comme on le disait, à la fois au niveau européen, au niveau les Américains, les Chinois, etc. le font, les Japonais aussi, pour avoir la capacité d'avoir des, on va dire, des méga-firmes qui sont capables de tenir le rang et la compétition au niveau mondial pour produire les meilleurs médicaments. Et je pense, si vous voulez, que ce qu'on a vécu au moment du Covid en est le meilleur exemple, si vous voulez. On avait des méga-firmes comme Pfizer qui ont collaboré avec des startups comme BioNTech et on a eu à travers cela les meilleurs vaccins, comme Moderna qui est parti d'une toute petite entreprise et qui a su ensuite développer une puissance de feu au niveau des vaccins, etc., etc. Voilà, donc je pense que, encore une fois, les deux approches ne sont pas incompatibles. On a besoin de concurrence, on a besoin d'un marché ouvert parce que c'est ce qui permet justement l'innovation et de tirer par le haut cette compétition pour avoir les meilleurs produits. Et puis en même temps, il faut qu'au niveau des grands ensembles, et je pense évidemment à l'Europe, bien entendu, on ait la capacité à financer les innovations et donc à mettre sur la table, c'est ce qu'on fait à travers France 2030 notamment, mais c'est ce qu'on pourrait faire encore mieux au niveau européen si on avait des plans à la hauteur. Voilà, la capacité d'avoir des champions qui ensuite permettent de mettre en place les meilleurs produits. Et c'est une question aussi de souveraineté. de souveraineté européenne, ici en l'occurrence, pour être certain que demain, dans le monde un peu compliqué que nous vivons aujourd'hui, s'il devait y avoir des tensions de quelque nature que ce soit, mais qui bloquaient à un moment les approvisionnements, on soit capable de produire sur notre propre sol. Et je ne parle pas nécessairement des plus grandes technologies. Je parle de la base aussi. Quand on a découvert au moment de la pandémie qu'on n'était plus capable de produire du paracétamol ici en France, ça montrait voilà, la dépendance que nous avions acquis par rapport à d'autres pays. Donc, une concurrence ouverte, mais en même temps, la capacité de produire des champions nationaux qui assurent aussi notre souveraineté, à minima la souveraineté européenne.
Thank you very much, Minister. It is always too short when we have the privilege to discuss with a member of the government. Thank you very much for your faith in Europe and for your determination to defend the European interests all over the world. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks a lot, and I count on you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Very interesting also. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer the questions. I'm maybe just going to ask if you have a question for the rest of the 2 days coming, please ask it in English so we don't lose our international guests here when we switch to French. Unfortunately, Mr. Shlomi Kaufman could not make it to be with us today. But we have a sound, not a video, unfortunately, a sound message that we would like to share with you. Let's listen to it all together.
Dear friends, I want to begin by stating how grateful I am to the organizers for granting me this opportunity to speak before you today. Unfortunately, under the current circumstances in Israel after the massacre of 1,400 people, it was very difficult for me to leave my country and my family behind and to fly away. I hope you do understand. And I also hope that to attend this conference next year in person and meet and talk to each and one of you. As for Israel, the current situation in the past 2 years were not the best for the Israeli high-tech. Yet rest assured that our resilience and creativity will prevail. The name Startup Nation, which Israel is known for, is not just a title. It is a spirit, motivation, and innovation of the people who built this country and its innovation spirit for the past 75 years. The Israel Innovation Authority, an independent publicly funded agency, was thus created to provide a variety of practical tools and funding platforms aimed at effectively addressing the dynamic and changing needs of the local innovation ecosystem. This includes early-stage entrepreneurs, mature companies developing new products or manufacturing processes, academic groups seeking to transfer their ideas to the market, global corporations interested in collaborating with Israeli technology companies, and Israeli companies seeking new markets abroad, and more. The innovation spirit and creativity is also well known in the digital health and biotechnology area. Israel, as you know, is considered a global innovation hub for digital health technologies. The country's ecosystem of startups, academic research, and industry collaboration has led to the development of cutting-edge digital health solutions. Many Israeli startups focus on areas such as telemedicine, health analytics, wearable devices, and health informatics. Israeli startups are at the forefront of using data analytics and artificial intelligence in healthcare. These technologies are applied to predict diseases, improve patient outcomes, and streamline healthcare operations. As you know, technology also needs regulations, and therefore the Israeli government has been working to establish regulatory frameworks and standards for digital health technologies to ensure patient safety and data security. In addition to digital health, we also develop a thriving biotechnology sector known for its innovation and research in various fields. Some key areas of focus in the Israeli biotechnology sector include pharmaceutical research and development, with many companies, national and international, working on novel treatments for a wide range of diseases, including cancer, rare genetic disorders, personalized medicine, and drug discovery. The presence of world-class research life science institutions and universities contribute to the investment in life sciences, genomics, and biotechnology. My friends, technological breakthrough achieved in recent years enabled to connect and combine fields in a way that was previously impossible. The genomic revolution, the dramatic decline in the cost and increased speed of DNA sequencing, alongside artificial intelligence and big data, are today leading to the development of advanced diagnostic technologies that are based on protein-level genomics and clinical data. The multidisciplinary technological breakthroughs that have occurred over recent decades in the field of engineering and software, alongside those in biotechnology, the combination of these fields create a bioconvergence. Bioconvergence requires a multidisciplinary knowledge base that combines research and development capabilities alongside leadership in the field of engineering, life sciences, and medical devices. An innovation authority examination revealed that the Israeli innovation ecosystem is well placed to assume a leading role in this field. This is why we at the Israeli Innovation Authority are implementing a national plan to advance and implement bioconvergence solution through supporting startups and regulation to advance the next technological revolution. I want to end by saying again how grateful I am for this opportunity. My only hope is to see you soon when the situation will calm down in Israel, to personally witness the great achievements of the Israeli entrepreneurs and innovators, to get involved, to invest, and to do business. Thank you for listening.
And I think indeed we all understand that he is not with us today. I have, before we really kick off, some housekeeping rules for all of you. To start with, I'd just like to remind you that we are filming the whole of this event throughout the 2 days. So in case, because you have a meeting with someone, you could not listen to a certain roundtable or to a keynote, you will get the link to the recording to listen to everything afterwards. Can I also ask you to follow us on the social media? On LinkedIn, on Twitter, you can follow everything of what is happening here, and it would be very nice, of course, if you have things to share about what is happening here in the 2 days. Can I just ask you to use the hashtag that you see on the slide with every message you spread with the outside world, so we can also track all of that. If you scan this QR code on the screen, you will go to our platform, partnering platform, because it's so important that you're able to meet up with each other. So it's actually very easy. If you scan there, you can make meetings with people that are with us here throughout the 2 days. If it's not clear for you, if you go out here, out of the room, and you go to the left, you have a desk where there's somebody sitting the whole time to help you out if you would have any question. I'm going to also, but I did not hear a phone ring yet, but maybe also check whether you have your phones on silent mode when you come in this room so you don't disturb everything that is going on right here. We have, of course, lunch foreseen for you. This will be served at the Nef on the 0 floor, and we will have beverages, coffee for you throughout the whole day. And as said, the main objective of these 2 days is to share ideas, is to meet up. So feel free to sit together. We have many places out here where you can sit together with 2, 3, 4, however people you would like to be for your networking. And you can also scan the code on the slide. I think it's on the last slide, or it was on the slide before this one. But this brings you to the whole program. So if you wonder what we have on the program, on the agenda in the coming 2 days, just scan the code and you will have everything there. with an update of the speakers of the roundtables, the people that are sharing certain things on keynotes. So you have the whole updated agenda there. And maybe also I'd like to mention, we already kicked that off in the morning, but this is the second time that there's also the pitch competition. We have many startups, scale-ups that are pitching here. They are all selected by life science clusters, and it is, of course, the purpose, the idea that those companies can share their ideas with you, with investors, and eventually we will also have a winner. The Health Tech for Care Innovation Award is what they will win, but they will win much more because they will have the privilege to have connection with our sponsors, and they will get specific visibility also throughout the year in specific communication, and they'll get a free access to next year's event. This award ceremony will be tomorrow night with the closing ceremony, so feel free to also be there and find out who our winner is. We also have a drink tonight, a closing ceremony, around 7 o'clock. So of course, before you dive into the Paris night, I hope you have a drink with us. All right, I just give the floor for 1 second, because an organization like this is of course only possible because of sponsors, and we named all of them, but I think you'd like to add 2 more people that we forgot. Just join me.
Yes, my apologies. I forgot to mention two sponsors that are very important for us. So this is the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, and this is Global Close Alliances. So my apologies to those 2 sponsors. Thank you.
No worries, but indeed, if you're a sponsor and you take part of this important project, it's nice to hear your name. Okay, I suppose you're ready to dive into the real material we want to share.
Thank you very much. Alain, you're attending this very important meeting, and thank you. You're very well known among the investors and members of the different companies that are attending this meeting, because you are key in the world of biotech, medtech, and digital tech, especially in digital. You're chairman and managing director of European Fund from Digital Sovereignty, who owes many things to and the existence from the German-French cooperation when it was created last year, at the beginning of 22, if I do remember. And you are specialized of what is key today for the development of our companies, the digital revolution and digital sovereignty. A fact, before giving you the floor, the nano chips which are produced in the world, which are necessary for research, and we should be diminished in their size and multiplied in their power. Nanotechnologies are produced in fondu, say we in French, in Taiwan, and that's a question because of the tensions, the political and geostrategical tensions between China and Taiwan. And you are a specialist of those questions for Europe. We depend in our research from digital knowledge. I have to raise for you 3 questions. The first one should be this one. As a start, could you share information about what I told you a second ago on the current macroeconomic situation in terms of sovereignty in Europe? After the COVID crisis, we demonstrated that sovereignty for Europe is a very, very harsh question to solve. And through an experience, your own experience in the COVID crisis, with this small and wonderful company, European, German company, and with this exploitation of the R&D, European R&D, German R&D, who didn't succeed to produce and to be industrialized in Europe, and it was recuperated by a huge American company. What could we say about the very problem we encounter in this false situation?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I mean, what you are describing, Christian, today is actually symptomatic of the European economy, and in particular the startup world and ecosystem. Not specifically, I mean, in health, but actually, I mean, in most of the sectors in Europe. We are able, and we have been doing a lot of progress, I mean, in Europe, whereby you have, I mean, today quite a significant market where, you know, startups can get access to finance in the early stage, but also later in their growth. But there's still a segment that we have not been able to address, which is what we call the late stage, whereby a company, a startup, is growing and needs much more funding than in the early stage, and therefore has difficulties to get this funding, specifically in Europe. So the example that you provide is BioNTech, you know, well-known company, obviously. BioNTech financed by Europe from the early stage, and for the rest, I mean, we know the story. And despite, I mean, all the barriers that sometimes companies face in Europe, such as the fragmentation of the market, this has been mentioned before, still what is key, specifically in the growth stage, is the access to financing. And here, let's be clear, I mean, this lack of financing is having a lot of impact and consequences for the industry in Europe overall. So it's not limited to one or the other country. Actually, when we have been doing an analysis across sectors and across countries, we realize that 3/4, so it's not 10 or 20, it's 3/4 of our companies scaling up are actually getting financing mostly from the US or from Asia. So you see that this is quite a significant problem that we are facing in Europe, which I'm sure we are going to discuss further on. But indeed, this is a symptom that we have identified now, I mean, for years, and for which Europe is doing its utmost in order to address this market failure.
Yes, it's a question very harsh to solve, and everything is good in Europe for the first stage, more difficult but correct for the second. But for the third stage, you explained that it is a very, very difficult obstacle. How Europe is impacted by this situation in terms of access to innovative solutions for patients, and in terms of economic burden for European member states?
Again, I mean, this example of BioNTech is quite a good one, because, I mean, everyone will understand that this is not only a question of getting access to fund and grow, I mean, from Europe, but it's also a question of developing product getting access to the development of tools, of industrial tools. And therefore, in the case of BioNTech and the good cooperation with the American Pfizer and company, I mean, for the benefit of everyone, this has been extremely positive, so we should not deny that. At the same time, it's again a very good example because you see that the companies are not only, let's say, limited in terms of access to capital, but are also limited in terms of market development, in terms of access to resources, in terms of access to, at the end, liquidity. Because when you have a market that is limited in size, then you have limited access to liquidity, and therefore you have, for investors, being in Europe or outside Europe, let's say, less opportunities to invest in such a continent. That's precisely the case when we know that an investor is investing €1 in Europe. If this €1 is successful, therefore this euro will, at one point, most of the time, will be listed in the American market on the Nasdaq.
Also, sorry to interrupt, but although the American market is about 330 million citizens, and the European one is 500 million of citizens. So, in first approach, we cannot imagine that our market is too restrained for answering to this challenge.
Yeah. No, I mean that's not intuitive to say the least. I mean Europe. That's why I mean we believe that Europe has all the elements. I mean to be a big market. And therefore to provide, I mean, the liquidity that we know. I mean, there's still some cultural differences, as we all know. When you invest, I mean, when a citizen in Europe invests his private money into any asset class, he would maybe, on average, prefer to invest, let's say, into a less risky asset as compared to US. So there's a certain number of reasons that militates for having a smaller market in Europe. Nevertheless, I mean, this is again something that has been well identified, and now Europe, as part of the objective, and you mentioned an initiative that has been launched, I mean, a couple of years ago. I mean, is ready to change that paradigm.
The role of FEI. Was very interesting, and it's the main one. You were previously the CEO of FEI. How could the EIB improve its different procedures and the different goals to help to solve this very key questions, which is today, if not solved, could jeopardize the progress of our companies and our R&D in healthcare?
Indeed, I mean, you mentioned, Christian, and before, this program that has been agreed by the member states. It's not often that 22 member states in Europe sign an agreement in February 22 in order to build what we call a fund of funds, so a fund that will be investing in the market to support precisely the scale-up companies. So this has been agreed indeed last year, and I must say in record time, because a year after, in February 23, member states already agreed, not all of them, because certain event happened in between, but a certain number of member states agreed, led by Germany and France and also Spain, in order to create this fund of 3.8 billion. So it's not negligible. The idea is actually to if I may say, to kill three birds with one stone. The first one is to support indeed these scale-up companies directly, so for them to get access to European funds. Second is to create players. When you compare the US market with European markets, you see about 40 to 50 US funds of an average size of 2 billion. In Europe, we had, basically 3 funds of 1 billion size on average. So it tells you...
It's a dream for us to think to the US situation.
And indeed, you see immediately why. Your question was why, with a deep market as Europe has, why, we are not able, to provide the fund to these companies, because we don't have the players. It's as simple as that. So you mentioned also the role of EIF, so far, which has been extremely key in the past years, precisely, let's say, in the venture capital and private equity market, so to develop that market, but also to be able to provide specific assistance or support to the health segment or sector in general, which has represented on average about 1/3 of the investment overall dedicated to health. So it's again a significant effort from Europe into that very specific segment. So more will be done. Actually, this program has started to invest already in a certain number of key players. The objective is to have from 15 to 20 big investment fund in Europe, which will not be all dedicated to health, but a large part of it will be. And therefore, that's the second aspect. So to have the players, to get then the private sector mobilization. In other words, to be able, and that's the result of many discussions that I have across the world, where I realize very quickly that for investors, they now understand that Europe is going to build a market, a financial market. So you mentioned geopolitics, and we all know that for investors it's important to be able to invest in different geographies. We cannot put all eggs in the same basket anymore. And therefore, the opportunity to see a European market growing is extremely key, not only for Europeans, but for non-Europeans as well. And that's why I'm extremely positive and optimistic that the segment failures that we are facing today, including for the startups and the researchers and so on, will be addressed now in the coming months and years to come.
And the problem is to get a new direction for flows of financing from Asia, for instance. They go towards States. And have you sufficient means in terms of financial means? 500 million at the start of your fund.
3.8 billion.
3.8
billion.
Billion.
Yeah. Billion.
Okay. Is it sufficient to redirect the flows, financing flows, towards Europe?
Again, there's two aspects. One is indeed, the capital. And you may say 3.8 billion is a start, actually. The ambition is to go much beyond that. But we believe that already with this amount, we will be able, as I said before, to target the emergence of about 15 funds in Europe, which is not negligible, because today, again, we are probably at 2 or 3. So that is an important aspect. The second message I was referring to is even more important, I think, because now what the vision is to build a market. And again, you inject cash, that's step one. 2, you create players, key players. And 3rd, you mobilize private sector and actually investors. And actually, we see and we observe a lot of interest across the globe for such an initiative, again, because most of the investors in Europe and in the rest of the world see the vision that we have to build this deeper market that we need in order to satisfy the financial needs of our startups and researchers. So it goes again beyond simple injection of cash.
But to reach the goal of 8 billion, you have the agreement of the member states. That is, the member states were converging to 8 million, or member states plus other funds or private investors?
Actually, that the member states are investing in this fund of fund, and not only the European Investment Bank as well, and you mentioned also the EIF, so European institutions. But de facto, when such an initiative is taking place and the European Investment Fund invests, de facto, you have attraction from investors in Europe, but not only in Europe, which co-invest, with us in order to make, these fund managers and the fund that they raise bigger. So de facto, what we are targeting is creation of funds of the size of about 1 billion, which was not, the case so far. But for that, you need not only public money, you need also private money, and hence, the role of private investors across the globe.
Thank you very much. We note that you're emphasizing on of getting more players. It's certainly a cultural, economic problem and solution with you. And we thank you very much to be here, because you show the path on which we should engage in order to change the vision and to change the efficiency of our health sector in Europe. Thank you for your action and for the innovation in the action you are creating now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you all for being with us, of course. We now take a break for the lunch, which will be at level 0. So feel free to go there, and I hope we will see all of you back at 1:30, because then we continue with the rest of our program. Enjoy your lunch.